sexy in the...
Welcome to Raw is Jericho!
The following announcement has been paid for by the New World Order.
Listen up, you blind slapnut. If I can be serious for a minute.
This is the Flex Network. This is the Flex Network. Flex on them. Flex on everybody.
The real reason I came here tonight is because we are live!
We Flex are NXT.
It's showtime, folks!
Sweet! A little bit of the bubbly.
The preceding announcement has been paid for by the New World Order.
For life.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all the ages, we are back live and in living color here on the Flex Network. It is the Snowman with you here for a late edition of the Wrestling Week in Review show. I know right now AEW's Dynamite is going on right now at this very second. But of course, I had to come on the show for you guys to talk a little wrestling with you, what went down in the whole week, as we are on the road to NXT Takeover in Your House 2021 this coming weekend. We're also on the road to a premature early, flip of the calendar, Hell in a Cell coming to you later up next weekend. It is going to be not this coming weekend, but the following weekend. It is going to be unbelievable, to say the least, as we're getting closer and closer and closer to the return of fans in the stands and the WWE on the road again, AEW on the road again. So we're getting close, guys. We're under a month. Literally, July is when they're hitting the road, guys, and it's going to be unbelievable to see the wrestlers back on the road and in your towns rather than being at one place or another. But I know that right now AEW Dynamite is on. I've already seen that we had the Inner Circle literally destroy the Pinnacle's limousine. Now, I keep saying, I can't keep saying this, but isn't it poetic that anytime in wrestling that there is a limousine in the vicinity of any, wrestling event, 9 times out of 10, that sumbitch is going to get destroyed. That sumbitch is going to get messed with, is going to get totaled in some form or fashion, to say the least. And I don't know what it is, but just seeing a good limousine destroyed always just brings a smile to my face, especially in how the Pinnacle, played it off like, that's our property. I'm calling the cops, call the cops. And them acting all tough and everything, knowing that their limousine, their property is just getting destroyed at the moment backstage by the Inner Circle. But again, we're a little bit late on the show. Normally we're on Thursday, but things got a little hectic, a little crazy for me. So we're going to come to you live right here, right now on a Friday. But let's get into what has been going on in the world of wrestling today, this Friday, besides what's going on Dynamite. I'm not going to spoil anything else on that. We'll talk about it next week on the recap of NXT TakeOver in Your House and the preview for Hell in a Cell. We'll talk about that next week. But let's get into it with what's been going on in the world of wrestling. Of course, we already found out that SummerSlam is going to be at Allegiant Stadium down there in Viva Las Vegas. Saturday, August 21st in Las Vegas, Nevada. And the funny thing about this, and I don't know what it is about the decision making and the timing for WWE. Their first big event, actually, sorry, second biggest event back on the road, besides Money in the Bank, but their second of their four of the big four pay-per-views that they're having. And you're going to be in Vegas. Not a bad choice. I'll give it that. Not a bad choice. But you're going to be in the same town that a fight is going to be happening on PPV, on Showtime. I believe Showtime or HBO. I forgot. I think it's Showtime. But it's going to be the same night as the Pacquiao and Spencer Jr. boxing match. I don't know what it is about this, but what the I mean, to sit here and think, okay, what is WWE doing thinking of having a pay-per-view on a Saturday, which is not normal, and to have it in Vegas. I'm not opposed to that one, but Saturday and also on a boxing fight night in Vegas. That to me just smells trouble for anybody and everybody in the facility of Las Vegas. Now, it's going to be good. I would not be surprised. Good business, because you're going to have two big events going on. You're going to bring lots of crowds into the Vegas, bring people back. People are going to be staying the night, gambling, drinking, going to the shows. That's great. Post-pandemic, not really post-pandemic yet. We're almost there, guys. But to bring the fans back, and not only that, bring boxing fans into your town the same night, literally same night, is not the smartest thing in the world, to say the least. Because you're going to have, and I get, you're going to have your boxing fans are going to, have tickets and go to the show, depending on how many tickets they're going to sell for down at MGM. Okay. They're already going to be down at MGM Arena for the boxing matches, whoever's fighting on that card. And you're also going to have your WWE, your wrestling WWE fans who are going to be flocking to Allegiant Stadium, aka the Las Vegas Raiders Stadium, to do SummerSlam. And the thought is, I guess what the thought is for WWE is it is hoping to end the show in time so fans can make it over to MGM Arena to watch the main event fight, Pacquiao versus Spence Jr. Now, I'm not the best person in the world to, think, you know what? I feel like I can make the fight, let's get tickets to both shows. I do not see that happening. No, there is going to be a lot of people. I mean, I get it for a lot of people that are going to be at home watching the pay-per-view, have Peacock maybe on their computer, Showtime on their TV, or vice versa. And, flipping back, not really flipping back and forth, or flip back and forth between Peacock and SummerSlam to, watch the undercard matchups on the show, and then switch over to see what's going on at SummerSlam. I mean, we still got a couple months before we're figuring out what this card is going to look like. The first SummerSlam back out in public again, and to have the thought of we're going to have it end before the main event fight. so that people can go check out the main event fight, the Pacquiao fight, over at MGM Arena. Now, I'm going to check, quickly check on here how far away that is from, each other. Just to humor myself, because to think that there's going to be that much time to go from Allegiant Stadium to the MGM. And again, MGM Grand, I'll just put it there. Okay, so an 8-minute drive. 8-minute drive, 40-minute walk. Okay. Now, that's not a bad idea, but think about that. Remember about this about Vegas and fight night in Vegas. Traffic is going to be hell. And it's going to be supremely hell, especially with everyone going for 2 events down there. Mere 40-minute walk or 8-minute drive from, it's 8-minute drive from Allegiant Stadium to get to the MGM Grand Arena. That's where I'm thinking it is. But it's, of course, at the MGM Arena, so that's probably where it is. But a 40-minute walk in fight night traffic, that is going to be hell for anyone and everyone to, hey, at SummerSlam, like, you know what? I don't want this night to end. Let's go over to MGM and see if we can get in so we can watch the fight, which I'm pretty sure by then, even before then, the tickets are going to be sold out. The only way you're going to be seeing it is, at a bar in Vegas. That's it. So that's just my 2 cents with the fact that you're going to have fight night in Vegas and you're going to have SummerSlam going on. I don't know how smart of an idea it is. Maybe put SummerSlam on Sunday, August 22nd, where it normally is. Not on the same night as a fight night in Vegas, because that's just going to be trouble. Even if it was worse, even if it was a UFC fight in Vegas, oh, that would have been bad. That would have been really bad. And actually, let me check to make sure that there's no events going on in Vegas that weekend. Just because, again, that could be, oh yeah, that's going to be even more worse. Even more, actually, not even more worse, because 21st is a fight night. That's at the Apex. So, saving grace right there. And UFC 266. Let me just double check, make sure where it's at. Just make sure. So, they haven't announced where it is going to be for 266. So, and yeah, so we don't know where that one's going to be. It could have been worse. It could have been at in Vegas also. That would even be worse. You have UFC Fight Night and SummerSlam on a Sunday, or you have a Fight Night boxing on a Saturday with SummerSlam. Either way, it's in trouble, to say the least. I'm kind of shaky on that. Other news going around, rumor that NXT could be getting the Samoan submission machine back. Samoa Joe could be re-signing to go back to NXT. But of course, with the Impact teaser trailer for Slammiversary next month, with him in the promo package, we don't know. Of course, we know that Samoa Joe released from WWE contract not too long ago. Obviously to save, cut ties for money, because I guess WWE is not real high on the signing for the long-term deals right now, trying to cut some money, save some money. And I don't know what, probably in the big spoiler of it is that they're going to try to get Brock Lesnar back for SummerSlam. So probably that's why with this, cuts and everything, we talked about this, I think, last week with the cuts and the money. So yeah, try to get Brock Lesnar back. We cut some talent and some big money contracts. But yeah, so we don't know yet. It's just a rumor that Samoa Joe, that people have been pushing. It's like, hey, down there NXT, it's like, hey, we want Samoa Joe back, and even to wrestle, come back and wrestle. It's been a while since we've seen him wrestle on WWE or even on TV for a while due to a concussion injury. So that's why he was at the announce desk and did so well as an announcer for Monday Night Raw. Moving on. Of course, we know this coming Monday, Eva Marie is back. She is coming back to Raw, and it'll be the first time since we've seen her since WrestleMania 31 down there in Dallas. I want to say WrestleMania 31. That was 2015, 2016? Nope. Yeah, she left in August of 17. So, yeah, she left right before SummerSlam. And of course, it was supposed to be 6-woman tag with Nikki. Or sorry, not with Nikki. With Alexa, Natalia taking on Becky Lynch. I'm like trying. Let me just find where it was at. Yeah, Natalia and Alexa Bliss teaming with Eva Marie to take on Lynch, Naomi, and Carmella, but because Eva Marie was suspended before SummerSlam, she was replaced with Nikki Bella returning from injury, and then of course she had left. So yeah, Eva Marie's back. First time in 4 years. Or sorry, 5 years. It's 5 years. I gotta get my years right. 5 years. And I don't know what it is, but I'm not so interested in seeing Eva Marie. I think the first run of Eva Marie was not great at all. Like, not even worth the time or the interest. I mean, if it was to try to get Total Divas off the ground, then yeah, it worked. But as far as main roster, if she had stayed in NXT, that would have been more of a better fit than pushing her to be on the main roster, because again, that main roster there, it's that time up there is so precious and more congealed to where you better bring it in your time slot, otherwise you're going to be pushed down. And if it's a bad segment, then you're spiraling down just in a pit. Like,
Where's the kaboom? There was supposed to be an earth-shattering kaboom.
yeah, like that. Thanks, Martian. But again, so I'm not that interested. Don't know where they're gonna put Eva Marie, especially on Raw, and how this is gonna affect what is currently going on the Raw roster. Again, they need any more women on that side because of the fact that it's so heavily dominated in the women's, that Raw has more than SmackDown right now. I've already got into it last week. If you want to check out the last week's podcast, you'll hear my rant about the state of the women's division. Go and check that out on Apple or Spotify or all your major podcast locations where we're at. But moving on, there is another rumor that the draft is going to be after SummerSlam in the summer. So we may be getting the draft and a big shakeup on the rosters, changing of scenery as the WWE universe is starting to get back into normalcy. after the summer with fans in the stands and the WWE touring again. So be on the lookout for that after SummerSlam. Nothing's been announced, but it's just a rumor. And then, of course, over the week, we have a new IWGP World Heavyweight Champion at New Japan's Dominion event this past week. We had Shingo Takagi taking the vacant IWGP World Heavyweight Championship away from Okada in a great matchup, and I guess obviously a shocking upset. But we have a new IWGP World Heavyweight Champion due to the fact that Will Ospreay had to vacate the title due to injuries. So unfortunately for that, but we have a new IWGP World Champion. And big news from this past week, of course, on Impact, due to last week's unfortunate interference of the Good Brothers in the Sami Callihan and Moose matchup last week, due to Sami Callihan winning over Moose via disqualification. He has been granted a world title shot against the Impact World Champion at Slammiversary next month, July 17th. But it's going to be against who and we'll find that out at Against All Odds this Saturday. It will be Kenny Omega taking on Moose for the Impact World title at Daly's Place. They're, I guess, powers that be, Scott D'Amore and Tony Khan, thought that, you know what, a match this magnitude needs to be at Daly's Place in Jacksonville, not at Impact's. You know, it'll still be at the pay-per-view, but it'll just be at Daly's Place. So there would be no Good Brother interference taking place, but maybe a super kick party might be happening. I don't know, but yep, that is going to be this Saturday at Impact Wrestling's Against All Odds. I'm sorry, I thought I had something in my throat. But other than that, we know that speaking of the Impact World Champion and AEW World Heavyweight Champion, we know that Kenny Omega has been having some nagging injuries right now. He has been dealing with some he has sliced up hand due to Double or Nothing. He had to get 7 stitches in his hand after smashing Pac with the belt a couple times. He had guy's hand sliced up. A deep bone bruise at his tailbone, some wear and tear in his knees, and a hernia, an athletic hernia. So yeah, he's been dealing with some pains going on. I mean, it's kind of hard to deal with when you're a when you are a belt collector. You're the AAA Mega Champion, you're the AEW World Champion, and you're the Impact World Heavyweight Champion. So there's going to be some wear and tear, and unfortunately for Mr. Omega, that's going to be coming with the territory there of being the world's champion. We'll talk about what's coming up at Against All Odds this Saturday. It's a stacked card, guys. Stacked card as we head on into this weekend. And of course, Sunday, this literally a stacked weekend. Saturday, we got Against All Odds. And of course, Sunday, we got Takeover In Your House. That is it for the news. I'm going to switch on. Let's switch on over to talk about what has been going on the TV side of the world. Hit the wrong button on that one. Let's talk about what went down on Monday Night Raw this past week. We had a Raw Tag Team Title Battle Royal to determine number one contenders for the tag team titles on Raw. The Viking Raiders pull out a victory and are now next in line for a Raw Tag Team Title opportunity. We had Jackson Riker taking on his former partner, his former buddy, Elias. Unfortunately, Elias did not want to stick around for the butt whooping that he was getting as Jackson Riker defeats Elias via countout. And I don't think that this is going to be far from over. Ricochet and Humberto Carlo, number one contenders opportunity for a shot at the United States title once Sheamus has been healed up from his broken nose. Unfortunately for both men, it was a good matchup. Good matchup this past week on Raw, but unfortunately neither man made it back into the ring, so they lose via double countout, a draw, which is going to bring up the question. I think both men are going to be deserving of a title shot, set up as a triple threat. I think that's going to be what it's going to come down to. It's going to be a triple threat match for the United States title. I don't think it'll be at Hell in a Cell, as, of course, Sheamus has to get medically cleared after getting a broken nose. And I don't think it's going to happen within, 2 weeks. I may be pushing it towards, I would say, Money in the Bank. Next month, that time frame, maybe on a Raw to get people hyped up for Money in the Bank, U.S. title defense, or even at Money in the Bank, the U.S. title's up for grabs. I could probably see that if Sheamus can get healed up with his busted up nose, especially just coming out of surgery this past week. Jeff Hardy taking on Cedric Alexander in one-on-one action. Jeff Hardy picking up the victory in that matchup. Tag team opportunity for Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley as they're heading into their matchup at Hell in a Cell for the Raw Women's title. And of course, the wild card who's been thrown into the mix, Nikki Cross and her partner Asuka beat Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley. Now, granted, Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair were not on the same page whatsoever. Literally, like cats and dogs. They couldn't work together, like oil and water. They couldn't work together. You couldn't force them to work together, even if you gave them a cash bonus of $1 million per month to work together in this tag team match. They would not have worked together that long. It would have failed. Again, this is also going to bring up more of the question: should Nikki Cross be in the title hunt? And I agree. I think she should be in the matchup, whether it be a triple threat match or after Hell in a Cell. Whoever wins the Raw Women's title, she gets first crack. Either probably even better, maybe at Raw the next night. Whoever wins has to face Nikki Cross the next night for the Raw Women's title, or a week later. But either way, I do believe Nikki Cross is in line for a Raw Women's Championship title opportunity. So I really do think that that's going to happen. Can't tell me otherwise. That, putting the situations that Charlotte and Rhea, having both lost in beat the clock style matches and timing out to Nikki Cross, and then getting pinned by Nikki Cross in I want to say last week in a in a matchup, another matchup. And Nikki Cross and Asuka this week beat the tag team champs. Or sorry, not beat the tag team champs. They beat the number one contender and the Raw Women's Champion. Literally, she should be in line for an opportunity. Triple threat match, or she gets first crack after Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. That's where I stand with Nikki Cross. I do believe she's in due for a title shot and a title run. She has been putting in the work, and I do believe that the fans would be behind her, especially if she comes back. You know what? I'll even pump the brakes a little bit more, and I'll even add to it. Nikki Cross gets a title shot and Money in the Bank. I'm calling it right here. Nikki Cross will get a Raw Women's title shot at Money in the Bank, and she will win. She will win at Money in the Bank, whoever it comes out of Hell in a Cell pay-per-view, because right now it's now looking like Charlotte versus Rhea is going to be inside the cell, though I'm betting it will be because of the history between these two. Because of the history between these two, from the from last year's WrestleMania, or sorry, from last year's road to WrestleMania, all the way through to WrestleMania, with Takeover Portland, and coming out making the statement that Charlotte wants the NXT title, to challenging, to winning the NXT title from Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania Night 1, all the way through to to Rhea Ripley coming up to the main roster, winning the Raw Women's title, and the recent interactions with these two, as of course we're heading into Hell in a Cell. I think that this is going to be inside Hell in a Cell. But of course, the way things are looking, we already know, and of course we're going to look at a small little bit of what's coming up at Hell in a Cell, what we know of. Of course, we know that at Hell in a Cell for the WWE Championship, inside Hell in a Cell, it will be Drew McIntyre, Bobby Lashley. Drew McIntyre will have his last opportunity against Bobby Lashley if he cannot defeat Lashley inside Hell in a Cell. It will be his final opportunity against Bobby Lashley for the WWE Championship. Never said anything about this as his final opportunity at the WWE title. It's his final opportunity of challenging Bobby Lashley for the WWE title. So, but yeah, back to the quick little thing I was going on. But yeah, I do believe that Nikki Cross is going to be women's champion, Money in the Bank. Just something to get. The thing is, I can see Rhea Ripley being Raw Women's Champion winning at WrestleMania with fans in the stands. That was a great moment. I think it was a retry from the previous year with the fact that Rhea was supposed to. I think again that had there been fans there, Rhea would have beaten Charlotte with fans in the stands. But because of the no fans, Charlotte beats Rhea. And I don't know. That's just my gut feeling from last year's WrestleMania. But now with the fans coming back, and the first pay-per-view that they're going to see is Money in the Bank next month, I do believe that should Rhea come out of Hell in a Cell and the pay-per-view right now, and is the Raw Women's Champion, and if Nikki Cross is the first person to get the next title shot after Charlotte, or vice versa, Charlotte beats Rhea and Nikki gets a title shot, I believe Nikki becomes Raw Women's Champion in front of a capacity crowd at Money in the Bank, bar none. I'm calling it. I am literally calling it that is what is going to happen when we get to Money in the Bank coming up. And again, things can change between now and then. Things can change. There is a lot of moving parts that need to happen. There is a lot of things that have to happen between now and July 18th down there in Fort Worth, Texas. There's got to be a lot of things that's got to go right for this to happen. But I do believe that fans in the stands, that what a way to get people excited about being back on the road. You give the Raw Women's Championship to Nikki Cross first thing. I could see that. Moving on. Now that I've went on this, Nick, again, I feel like I get on these rants about the women's side of the world, but I feel like they produce the better content 8 times out of 10. And I'm just so intrigued with that for myself, because I can remember late 90s, early 2000s, no one gave two shits about the women's wrestling unless it was a bra and panties match, if it was a paddle on a pole match, a bikini challenge, a lingerie match, something of that degree, or if it was Trish Stratus and Lita in that degree. That is the only time that the women's division was thought of, that people came back to their seats like, oh, it's a women's match, go get popcorn, go use the bathroom. Oh, wait a minute, it's Trish and it's Lita. Okay, we're staying. But that's it. Or it's a bra and panties match, whatever. But I feel like the last 5 years last 5 years has been so great to the women's side of the world of wrestling, because it has brought out a legitimate rise in their game, and it's all been so great for these women the last 5 years. I would even go as far back as since NXT has come into the fold as its own brand, not the challenge, season that was that brought out the Nexus, that saw the redemption. That not that NXT. I'm talking about the NXT we know and love today. When it came out in 2014, when it came out in 2014, and it started building, and the women's was like, okay, we're getting there, and then building up, and then Brooklyn happened at 2015, Takeover Brooklyn. Sasha, Bailey in Brooklyn tore the house down. Respect. Not last women's standing, a 60-minute Iron Women match. And that's where, it was not 60-minute, it was a 30-minute Iron Women match. My bad. But nonetheless, since that time, the women's wrestling has been blown up to the best thing since sliced bread in wrestling. But now I need to get off the women's wrestling part, because I've been talking for a little while now. Mansoor, we're going back to Raw. Drew Gulak taking on Mansoor. Mansoor picks up the victory over Drew Gulak. Kofi Kingston taking on Riddle in the main event. Main event for the night, at least on paper. Kofi Kingston beats Matt Riddle. And of course, we had the contract signed for Hell in a Cell for the WWE title. And then, of course, we had Alexa's Playground with guest Shayna Baszler. Now, literally, this is what ended the show on Monday. Alexa's Playground and setting up a rivalry between these two. Now, do not, and again, I don't know why I keep coming back to the women, but do not get me wrong. I was interested. I am interested in what is happening with Alexa Bliss, but I'm still in the fog of what are they going to be doing with her. I mean, since the Fiend has been disappeared, he's not on TV, and Alexa Bliss is left holding the I'm not gonna call it the fun house, but the psychotic Mr. Rogers bag. We'll just call it that. Since she's been holding on to that bag, I feel like she's not she has not have been she has not been keeping it at the level. I mean, she's struggling. She's like she may have dropped a little, dipped a little into what Bray has brought us with the Firefly Funhouse, with the Fiend, and all of this stuff that we've had for the last year or last couple years. And of course, with Alexa Bliss being added into the mix and everything, I really think that she's kind of dropping it. She's holding on to it for as long as she can. But I feel like the Fiend needs to get back. The Fiend needs to come back to help and literally even out the responsibility of the psychotic Mr. Rogers, the Firefly Funhouse, the playground, to help Alexa Bliss. Now, Alexa Bliss started off great, doing great things with this. But I feel like as time progresses and the Fiend's been away off TV, I think that the weight has just been getting it down and pulling her down. I think once the Fiend comes back, hopefully it's coming back soon. Maybe SummerSlam. Hopefully this could last till SummerSlam to where we can get the Fiend back, and the ship can get a little bit more righted and straight and narrow. But I believe the Alexa Bliss is doing the best that she has been doing, and now to have this feud with Shayna Baszler, I'm kind of wondering where this is going to go. I'm kind of wondering. It's more along the lines of I'm not really all that intrigued, but yet I'm still intrigued. I'm like writing it off, but like it's like a car crash. You could see it coming, but it's like, I don't want to look, but I want to look. Or it could be another. I'm trying to think of another example. It's kind of like you were told not to go down this. Don't go down this way. It's a lot harder than going straight ahead and be easy. It's like, yeah, I could go straight and go the easy path, but I kind of want to see what the tough path looks like. Let's go that way. That's kind of what it feels like with me to see Alexa versus Shayna and what is going on, especially with the Lily character or the Lily doll and this craziness that's happening. I kind of want to see where this is going to go and what's going to be on the other side of this. But to have it as the main event spot to end the show, I kind of liked it, but it was like, okay, because this is part of, I've said this many times on the show before in past shows. This is part of the WWE's trend for wrestling. We get up at WrestleMania, we start to go down. Money, probably by SummerSlam time, we pick it back up. We're kind of in that low, starting to turn it up kind of part to where by the time we get to Money in the Bank, because it's going to be different this year, we're going to have fans back. Money in the Bank's going to be high. SummerSlam may be a little dip and then back up, and then probably back to normal, but to a point. So that was Raw this past week. Let's get into NXT this week, as of course this is the go home show before Takeover in Your House. Of course, we had Oney Larkin taking on Austin Theory. Oney Larkin picking up the victory. Isaiah Swerve Scott with his crew Hit Row taking on Killian Dane and of course with Drake Maverick at his side. Killian Dane loses to Isaiah Swerve Scott. And it was an okay match. Mercedes Martinez just squashes some talent on her way to take on Xia Li. I want to say Xia Li, but again, I feel like she changes her name, so with the transformation of her, that it really is more along the lines of you don't know. It's been kind of a mystique in her in that way. Grizzled Young Vets taking on Austin Gray or August Gray and Ikemon I cannot. Name Butcher is here to stay, ladies and gentlemen. The name Butcher. But yes, tag team action. Grizzled Young Vets pick up the victory. And of course, Ember Moon taking on Dakota Kai. Unfortunately for Dakota Kai, she did not pick up the victory. Thanks to some interference from Raquel Gonzalez, Ember Moon picks up the victory over Dakota Kai. And of course, the last showdown between all 5 members of the Fatal 5-Way match for the NXT Championship. All cause chaos. And the thing and of course, we had the return of the Genius of the Sky, Io Shirai, the former NXT Women's Champion. She is now back. We even had a special appearance by NXT's favorite singer, Poppy, coming out and joining the show for the event this past Tuesday. And of course, her new release of her Eat album, her EMP of NXT album that she just released, of course, with the theme song for NXT TV's theme. What was it? Oh yeah, show me. Say cheese. That's the name. That was the name of the song. Yeah, but yes, she released the EP of the Eat NXT soundtrack, and of course brought back out with a little help to take on Candice LeRae for her inadvertent hugging of Dexter Lumis for a nice picture that he drew of her and hugged him, and then in comes Indy Hartwell thinking it was a hug for something else, and she goes right away in tears. And just I'm loving the story. What's going on with Dexter Lumis and Indy Hartwell? It literally just brings a smile to my face to see, like, okay, what are we going to do this week? Are we finally going to get these two together? I mean, we had an opportunity, or we had the great opportunity a few weeks ago, actually several weeks ago, with Indy getting carried off by Dexter, and she's like, yeah. Just that entire process during that 6-man tag match. And yeah, that 6-woman mixed tag match right there, the mixed tag team matchup several weeks ago, and the off again, on again, everything that's been going on, it's just crazy. But it's one of my favorite things about NXT right now. As we head into Takeover in Your House, of course, let's recap SmackDown that's already finished. We had Kevin Owens and Big E taking on Sami Zayn and Apollo Crews in tag team action. Kevin Owens and Big E picking up the victory over Sami Zayn and Apollo Crews. Liv Morgan taking on Carmella. Great matchup for Liv Morgan. As of course, her first. I want to say it's her real first match after. Actually, no, it's her second match after the department of Ruby Riott. I think Liv Morgan's now due for a actual good run. I could even put her in the SmackDown Women's title picture. Give her another month. I would even maybe even give it to SummerSlam. I'll give it till SummerSlam for this to happen, for an opportunity for Liv versus Bianca Belair, or maybe even Bella, or Nikki, or no, Bailey. Sorry, Bailey. Other things on the brain. For a shot at SummerSlam for the SmackDown Women's title. Montez Ford taking on Chad Gable. Montez Ford, unfortunately, does get the victory via disqualification, but gets destroyed by Otis and Chad Gable after the match. And then, of course, Shinsuke Nakamura defeats King Corbin, and we know that next week is going to be a battle for the crown. That King Corbin's crown is now going to be on the line next week. And I guess, I don't know why, but... But yeah, that was essentially SmackDown. And of course, Cesaro gets some payback on Seth Rollins, as Seth was on Bailey's talk show this week. And of course, Seth Rollins just got stripped down to his, the drip was ripped from his body this week. And of course, Rey Mysterio getting some revenge on Dominic, but on the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns. But in the end, Roman Reigns just literally tosses and destroys Dominic Mysterio outside the, toss him outside the ring with a powerbomb, just throwing him outside like he was some shot put. Heave-ho outside. But that was SmackDown this past week. And of course, we're not gonna talk as much about what's going on AEW, because that's going on right now, or it could be close to the end. But you guys can go check that out. We'll talk about it next week. But let's talk about what is coming up this Saturday at Against All Odds as we close out the show for the week. We'll run down the card for NXT Takeover in Your House as well, because that is also this weekend. Against All Odds, we're going to have, for the Impact World title, we're going to have Kenny Omega taking on Moose. And of course, that match will take place at Daly's place at AEW Turf, just so, of course, there's no interference from the Good Brothers. We're going to have, and again, here comes Name Butcher, Satoshi Komaja, I can't say it, with Eddie Edwards taking on Joe Doring of Violent by Design in a one-on-one matchup. Dinana Perzano, the Knockouts champion, will take on Rosemary. One-on-one for the Knockouts title is on the line. Violent by Design, Diener and Rhino will take on Decay, Black Tortoise, and Crazy Steve for the Impact World Tag Team titles. Rich Swann will take on W. Morrisley in one-on-one action, a.k.a. Big Cass. Five-way match to determine the number one contender for the X Division title. P.D. Williams, the Canadian Destroyer's own P. Williams, taking on Trey Miguel, Ace Austin, Chris Bay, the WAC World Champion. Gotta throw that in there every once in a while. And Raju in a five-way matchup for the X Division title opportunity coming up. Fire and Flava will take on Kimberly and Susan for the Knockouts tag team titles. Jordan Grace will take on Tari Dashwood, one-on-one matchup in the women's division, the Knockouts division. I keep saying women's, but it's Knockouts over there in Impact. And then, of course, in a street fight tag team matchup, we got Sami Callihan, the number one contender for the Impact World title at Slammiversary, teaming with the innovator of violence, Tommy Dreamer, taking on them good brothers, them Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson. That is against all odds. It's going to be a great pay-per-view this Saturday. And it should be a very great weekend as we head into NXT Takeover in Your House 2021. Even though we're just calling it Takeover in Your House. This Sunday, 5 matches on the books. We have, of course, winner take all 6-man tag team match for the North American and the NXT tag team titles, as Bronson Reed, the North American champion, and MSK, the tag team champions, will be defending them against Legado del Fantasmas, Santos Escobar, Jorklin Wild, and Raul Mendoza. And of course, the winner of that match, whichever side, will be getting all of the gold. A NXT women's title matchup is up for championship is up for grabs as Raquel Gonzalez will defend against Ember Moon in one-on-one action. Mercedes Martinez will take on Xia Li in one-on-one action. And a surprise this past week, the return of the $1 Million Championship, thanks to the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, making a match between Cameron Grimes and LA Knight. And not only that, but a ladder match for the $1 Million Championship, which is going to be, I kind of want to see what they're going to do with the $1 Million title now that it's back in NXT. It should be very interesting. I can't wait to see it. So yeah, ladder match for the vacant, or not really, well, kind of vacant, but not really vacant, but for the $1 Million Championship, a ladder match between Cameron Grimes and LA Knight. And then, of course, the main event, Fatal 5-Way match for the NXT Championship of the World. Karrion Kross will be defending against Kyle O'Reilly, Adam Cole, baby, Johnny Gargano, and Pete Dunne. That is your NXT TakeOver card for this weekend. This is going to be a fun weekend, guys, of Against All Odds, with serious repercussions for next month's Slammiversary in your house on Sunday. It's going to be a great pay-per-view weekend. And then, of course, we got Hell in a Cell the following Sunday. We'll run down the card as we get more matches coming up this week on the last row stops before Hell in a Cell this coming week. We'll talk about that next week, but that is going to be it for me, guys. I got nothing left of a tank for y'all. I mean, normally I would have had AEW, but of course, AEW happening already. We'll save that for next show. A little bit, well, I already, spoiled a little bit of what Pinnacle and Inner Circle did, but figured I'd save the rest for next week. But a little house clean before we get on out of here for the week. Be sure to like, subscribe, and follow us everywhere, all of our social media platforms. You can follow us on Facebook at the Flex Network 1, or just search the Flex Network. That is where we're at for all of your Facebook content. You can follow us on Twitter. You can follow us at Flex Network 1 for your football and fantasy football content. Football season's coming up, guys. We're getting geared up for that, especially with fantasy football, and getting you guys that info to who you guys should be drafting, who you guys should be picking up for your fantasy football seasons coming up. Of course, you can follow us also at MMA Evergreen for your MMA and UFC content. Keep you in the know-how for that. And of course, you should be following us at FlexNet_PW Elite for all of your wrestling content. That's what we're here for. You should also be liking and you should be liking and subscribing to our YouTube pages as well. You can follow us at Flex Network for your football and fantasy football, and of course the Flex Network Wrestling for your wrestling content, where we broadcast all of our shows, besides being on Facebook and Twitter. But let's see what else. Oh, wait a minute. I completely forgot before we, peace on out of here. Again, got to plug this a little bit more because, of course, it's on the way this month, June 25th. The Flex Network is going to have its own wrestling shizzo here in the lovely city of Everett, Washington. We're going to have fun. It's going to be at the Scuttlebutt Tap Room in Everett, Washington. Make sure you guys get your Oh, wait a minute. I can't say get your tickets because it's sold out, ladies and gentlemen. We sold out the show, guys, and it keeps growing, guys. So make sure you guys pay close attention to what's, for future announcements here on the Flex Network for the other matches that could be coming your way. But yes, Friday, June 25th, the undercard's at 7 p.m. And of course, the main card starts at 8 p.m. At the Scuttlebutt Tap Room, 3314 Cedar Street, Everett, Washington. And of course, it's going to be fun, guys. The Scuttlebutt Spot Fest 1, the beginning. That should be fun, to say the least. But that is going to be it for me, guys. I know I had to plug in some stuff in there for that, but all right, guys, I'm out of here. This has been another edition of the Flex Network Wrestling Week in Review Show. I am the Snowman, and I will see you guys next week. Peace out.
This has been the Pro Wrestling Week in Review Show.
You got some fellow Canadians.
But when you're from Calgary,
Where's that?
Alberta, Canada,
A one-way first-class ticket to Larryland.
What is it with you folks coming to Florida? Stay in your own country. This is the Flex Network. This is the Flex Network. Flex on them. Flex on everybody. Right here.
Why me? Why me? Why me?
don't blame Canada, blame yourself.
Feels like showtime every minute to me. I can't help it.
No. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Ta-ta for now.
We're out of time. Good night on Nitro.
The preceding announcement has been paid for by the New World Order.
Well, you're welcome, Jurassic Slap Ass.